Made a song together, but I am a white boy from Texas. I have a little salt to me, according to Josh Jacobs.
Some salt.
I am from Texas. I grew up in College Station, Texas, home of the Texas A&M Aggies, Gig 'em Aggies. My parents still live there to this day. My mother's the former mayor of College Station, Texas. So yeah, I mean, I'm a white boy. According to Josh Jacobs, I have a little salt to me.
Yeah,
a little salt.
A little salty.
Yeah,
okay.
Maybe you and I should make a song together.
Oh,
we
boy.
could sing about Josh Jacobs. It could be a little, because Josh Jacobs is the ultimate love-hate running back.
I was going to say, do you feel guilty about what you've kind of done over the years with Josh Jacobs?
No.
Ride or die, hate list.
Yeah,
it's
been a roller coaster of emotions for me and Josh, and by me and Josh, I really mean me. I don't think Josh knows or cares about me. I've interviewed him a couple times too. He maybe knows, he's might be aware of me, but at any rate, yes, he was my fantasy ride or die his rookie year. Made me look really smart.
Yeah.
Then he made the hate list for the next couple of years. Also made me look smart. This year he was on the hate list, making me look dumb. Because honestly, he's been nothing short of terrific this year. And he makes the loved list this week. Hopefully he'll make me look smart. Part of the reason why I didn't love him in the preseason and do love him now is the usage. I didn't think he would get so much usage that he has. My expectation was that McDaniels would use multiple running backs and that Jacobs would not get the passing down work. But that hasn't happened. He has, in fact, gotten the majority of the work. 83% of the Raiders' running back touches so far this week. 20 or more touches in 3 out of 4 games, his last 4 games. Then you look at this matchup with the Houston Texans, right? They've allowed 100 scrimmage yards to a running back in 4 out of their 5 games so far this season. No team in the NFL gives up more rushing yards per game to opposing running backs than the Houston Texans. They're giving up 133 on the ground. 3 different running backs so far this year have already scored 25 or more fantasy points. Josh Jacobs, I have as a top 6 play this week. He will make the Texans look stupid. And by the Texans, I mean me, a Texan, because I had him on my preseason hate list, and that was wrong.
Yep. Vegas is 7-point favorites, home to the Texans, so expecting that he will be running the ball. There's been a bit of a stench around Josh Jacobs, largely because you kind of created it in the preseason, or at least played a part.
I don't think he's helped himself either with some of the stuff he's done on social media. But the other thing about him is that he's been involved in the passing game.
Yep. And he's produced like a top 5 running back on a per-game basis.
1,000%.
Another guy who's trending towards that territory is Breece Hall, who is now getting all the usage, and he's on the love list again.
Yeah, Jay, I know for weeks, and regular viewers of this show, know that, like, when I have talked up the Jets, you have poo-pooed it, you have made fun of me, you have mocked me for it. But I think you finally, you've come around to my beloved Jets here. Look, over the last 4 weeks, Breece Hall is running back 8. He's averaging 19.7 fantasy points per game, 3 consecutive games with 19 or more touches. I know you were a big Michael Carter fan in the preseason.
MC.
The only guy that you liked on the Jets. You hated the Jets, but you did like Michael Carter. But the fact of the matter is, Jay, they have moved past that. He has clearly taken over this backfield. 3 consecutive games, as I mentioned, with 19 or more touches. He doesn't have to come off the field on 3rd down, right? He's got a double-digit target share in 6 games so far this year. And then you like this matchup against a Denver Broncos team whose offense can't stay on the field, so the defense is having to play a lot more. It's a really good Denver defense. But later in games, they're getting tired because so many 3-and-outs on the Broncos' offensive side of the ball. Worth noting that the Broncos have allowed 75 scrimmage yards to a running back in 5 of 6 games this year. As great as the Broncos defensively were last week against the Chargers, Austin Eckler still had a monster game. The expectation here is Breece Hall does the same. He's my running back 7 this week.
Yep. The beauty of Breece Hall, too, is that he's got such a high floor because of the usage. Like, if they're winning, then they're running him 20 times. If they're losing, then he's the 3rd and long guy. He's getting the receiving work now, too. He is the favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
And they are they're slight underdogs to the Broncos, which I'm surprised.
That could flip. That could definitely flip.
Honestly, like, I would bet the Jets now, especially because, by the way, it's been Brett Rippon that has taken the majority of the snaps for the. Russell Wilson said in between sandwich commercials that the hamstring should be okay, that he's fine, but whatever. worth noting, it has been Brett Rippon taking the majority of the snaps with the first team for the Broncos this week in practice.
Indeed, which would help Breece Hall. Now, another rookie who is surging is Kenneth Walker, who lit up the Cardinals last week, got an insane amount of usage as well, and he's also on the love list.
So I got a note this morning from Ray Summerlin. You don't know Ray Summerlin. You don't know Ray Summerlin. Ray Summerlin does a great job for us here at RotoWorld at NBCSportsEdge.com. He's an editor. He's an editor for the website. He has the unenviable task of editing my column every single week. This poor bastard has to has to make the chicken crap that I send in as love-hate into something readable. And he's done once again a brilliant job today. Love Hate, the column is up as always for free on RotoWorld.com and NBCSportsEdge.com. But anyway, Ray sent me a note to tell me that, and he sent me an article where Kenneth Walker III was interviewed and said he likes Ken. He'd prefer to be called Ken.
I've heard about this.
Right. Well, exactly. But he would like to be called Ken. You are above all the little people. You don't even know Ray's name. You're done with it. Whatever. I'm just whatever. I'm a man of the people. I get to know all the little people.
Yeah.
And they like it when you call them the little people. By the way,
exactly.
That's a hint. That's a helpful hint.
Yes,
right, exactly. When they really like it when you sort of like, hey, I'd like hey.
Poor Ray.
Right,
it started off so well for Ray in the segment, and it's gone off the rails.
Yes. And it's like, I just want to acknowledge that I know your name, please. Yeah, exactly. That's unlike you. That's just like you, oh, whatever. Yeah, hey, you, or get me lunch.
Yeah.
Person.
Give me some
like I know their names.
Yeah.
And I think they respect it when you call them by a name before you ask them to do a menial task.
Yes.
That's what I've learned.
Exactly. It's very key.
Yeah,
always
very key.
Anyway, people's names. Ken Walker.
Anyway, Ken Walker III. Kenny Walker. No relation to Skywalker. The point of KW3, which I think we're safe on no matter what, KW3 is that last week, in his first week starting for the Seahawks as a running back, 23 of the 25 running back touches for Seattle. It's a nice matchup with the Chargers, right? And Walker, KW3, showed exactly why we were so high on him, why we were like, this guy is potentially a league winner. In a low-scoring game against the Arizona Cardinals, KW3 still had a really nice game. He comes in at running back 13 for me against a Chargers team that so far this year, no team in the NFL has given up more yards per carry to opposing running backs than the Los Angeles Chargers. They're giving up 133 rushing yards a game to running backs over the last 4 weeks. That's third most in the NFL. And in fact, running backs that have seen at least 15 touches against the Bolts this year, and we expect Walker, who got 23 touches last week, we expect Walker to exceed that 15-touch mark. Running backs getting 15 or more touches against the Bolts this year, averaging 18 fantasy points per game. 3 of them have scored 20-plus. Give me all the KW3 this week. Again, running back 13 for me. He makes the love list in week 7.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot, but the hidden thing with Seattle is their tempo, that they run more plays. And this is a big thing in fantasy and betting. Just look at pace, look at tempo, because there's just more opportunities to produce stats. All right, let's get into some others receiving votes, headlined by Mr. Ezekiel Elliott.
You know what? I thought Ezekiel Elliott was done, right? And here's what I did. I thought Ezekiel Elliott was done. And so last week on Football Night in America, the highest-rated show in all of television,
people watch that?
Yeah, it's the only thing that people watch more than Football Night in America is the actual Sunday Night Football game. And so there I am, in front of millions upon millions upon millions of people, Jay. You have no idea the many millions of people that got to see me talk about the fact that Ezekiel Elliott would be under on the rushing yards against this very tough Philadelphia Eagles defense. He had not hit the number. His rushing number, his total yards from scrimmage was like 65, and I took the under because he had no passing game usage at all, and he hadn't hit that number. No running back had hit that number against the Eagles since week 1. Zeke hadn't hit that number the majority of the year. So I'm like, listen, I'm taking the under. I'm going to take the layup. And you know what? It wasn't a layup. It wasn't even close to a layup. It was a three-pointer from way downtown that clanged off the rim because Zeke had his best game of the season. He looked awesome. He looked really, really good over the last 4 weeks, and now he gets Detroit, right? I mean, he looked really good. And so over the last 4 weeks, the Lions, that have allowed a league-high 158 rushing yards per game. They're giving up 6.1 yards per carry to opposing running backs. Again, both of those league-high over the last month. They've given multiple running backs. They've given up multiple touchdowns to running backs in 3 out of 5 games this year. So Zeke, who is suddenly looks rejuvenated.
Yeah.
And with Dak Prescott back under center, we expect a more dynamic offense under Cowboys. So Ezekiel Elliott is another, others receiving votes. Quickly, just running through some of the names on that list. Travis Etienne, who has back-to-back games with 12 or more touches at 100-plus scrimmage yards. He's clearly the better running back versus James Robinson. I expect him to have a nice game against a Giants team that's given up 126 rushing yards a game to running backs. Brian Robinson, my Brian Robinson should be comeback player of the year, won't be comeback player of the year, but as bad, my Commanders really only have two things going for them. They lead the NFL in lawsuits, and they can run the ball with Brian Robinson, who's an amazing story. For all the bad stories coming out of Washington, Brian Robinson is a great one, and he's playing Green Bay that allows the 5th most yards per carry to opposing running backs. They've given up 85 yards or more to an opposing running back. We know when they get in close, it's going to be Brian Robinson. Finally, Jamal Williams in that Dallas game. Even though DeAndre Swift is back, Jamal Williams, even when Swift was healthy in weeks 1 and 2, he still got 12 or more touches in both those games when Swift was healthy. He's got the 2nd most goal-to-go carries in the NFL this year. So even with Swift healthy, I think there's a chance that Jamal Williams gets a goal line run, and I think he's a viable deep league flex in a week with 4 teams on a bye.
Yep. All right, let's flip to hate, which is headlined by Jeff Wilson Jr., who did nothing against Atlanta and is looking like a game script-dependent back.
4 straight weeks, his snap rate has declined from 73% all the way down to 52% last week. It's not a great matchup with the Chiefs, as Kansas City allows the 4th fewest rushing yards per game to opposing running backs this year. In fact, teams facing Kansas City, and look, this makes sense, right? This is a stat that makes sense. The Chiefs put up a lot of points. Teams are trailing, so it's hard to run against them. It's not surprised that teams facing the Chiefs average the 2nd fewest running back carries per game. And so in the 2 losses in which the Niners have, Chiefs obviously are favored in this game. In the 2 losses that the Niners have had, Wilson has just 19 combined carries. He's averaging 8.5 carries a game in the losses. And so it's hard for me to be excited about Jeff Wilson Jr. If you're starting a Niners running back, it's still Jeff Wilson Jr. to me, but he's outside my top 20 in week 7.
Yep, Chiefs 2.5-point favorites in that game. And another guy who is frequently on this list makes another appearance, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Why is he on the hate list this week?
Why is he not? Well, why would he not be?
He's had double-digit carries in one game.
One game.
Yeah.
The one
Which
game
is
that
the one game he won on national television and declared him.
I'm going to get kicked off Football Night in America any day now. You just watch. Anyway, I will say, if you look at the picks, the picks at the end, I'm 6-1. I'm 6-1.
6-1?
I'm 6-1. I'm in first place.
Oh,
I'm in first place among the picks. You know what I mean? Like, I'm competing against Tony Dungy, Jason Garrett, right?
So you had the Broncos.
Rodney Harrison, Chris Sims, Jack Collinsworth. I'm just saying, only one person, Mike Florio, Maria Taylor, one person 6-1, and that person is me. Anyway, but why do I hate Clyde Edwards-Helaire this week in fantasy football? Well, the last 2 weeks, he's running back 52. Like, he's literally not a top 50 running back over the past 2 weeks here. It's a tough matchup against the Niners. We expect the Chiefs to win, but as you mentioned, 2.5-point favorites. We don't expect them to, blow them out here. No. And if they do win, they're going to do it on the arm of Patrick Mahomes, as the Niners allow the 2nd fewest rushing yards per game to opposing running backs. 1 game this year, as you mentioned, with more than 9 rush attempts. We've seen some Jerick McKinnon as well. Outside my top 20, outside my top 30 this week against the Niners. CEH makes the hate list.
Okay, we're going to go to break. When we come back, pass, catcher, love, hate. I'm going to text some of the little people in my life and tell them I think that they're bigger than Matthew Berry does.
You don't know their names. You just have random numbers. Good luck. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.